Hello everybody, welcome back to the Hoosier Garage. This would be the Hoosier Garage of East Central Indiana. The MoFo driver's garage. 66 Dart. If you follow along with the channel for very long, you'll notice this is a part 2 pretty much. A while back in the summer it was really hot and we changed out the leaf springs. It was broken. Put new leaf springs in, or used leaf springs, but much better ones. Got the axle bolted back in. We put the gas tank in, and it left a few things like the grommet. We needed a grommet to put the filler tube in. Well, Chris has gotten that in. He put it in like last week. It's got his rear wheels on, tires on. Got some fresh tires. The old ones were dry rotted. So it really left us to get bearings on the front. And hand me that other hub. I think, where was it? Oh, right down there. These earlier Mopars, some of them, not all of them, have this style hub that goes on the spindle of a brake drum. And it's a little different for me. I'm used to all this being integrated into the drum, and then you slip it on and you have the bearings in it. Well, it's just separate. That's really the only difference. You have your bearing surfaces in here, and you put your bearings in, it goes on, then the drum goes over it, kind of like they do in the rear. He had some issues with this, like the lugs were like swedged on, so they was pretty much, you had to annihilate them to get them off. And so what we're doing, we're getting some bearings on. We went ahead and did this side just to make sure everything was fitting right. So we should be good on the other side. So we're going to jump over there and try to get that all together. And we'll just see where we're at beyond that. Any thoughts?
No, not really.
Do you have any thoughts? I can't hear you. I don't have to hear them. Okay, so we're looking at some of the parts that he has here, and I'm showing you this hub. On his other hub, he still had the races for the bearings in there, and they was in really good shape. And so we just went ahead and used them. We made sure that everything rode true. The new bearings did not slop around or anything like that. But these, I think when he had some of the machine work done, they knocked them out, or else they fell out. Parts are weird sometimes.
Yeah, he told me they fell out.
Yeah, they fell out. The other ones, they was tight. So go figure on that. I would say if we have any problems with anything here, it would be with this one. And if it is, we'll work through it. We'll figure something out, because this has been like beat on pretty good, and I think a lot of that was before you even got a hold of it. I remember looking at it and thinking somebody's done some work. It could have been on this side where the drum was, and his drum on this driver's side I just put it on, it's been whacked in, and you don't want to do that on cast iron because it's going to flex. It's eventually going to crack. So we're going to have to see what we got there. So this surface doesn't look amazingly round to me. That's where I'm thinking we could have a problem. And we'll see what this one does. But we really just need to get the parts here. And this is the bearing and the race. And we'll just see what we got. Make sure we don't get the bearing dirty. But here's the big race. It should go on the back, so behind the studs here. Should go in there. And we'll probably have to use a bearing installer, or if this just falls down in there, we might be able to get it to go. We'll play with it gently, see if it wants to cooperate. If not, we'll have to put some to the backside and knock it back out easily. We don't want to hurt it though, so we're going to take a minute, see what we can do with that, and just wish us some luck. Okay, so we got this passenger side hub packed out and ready to go. I had to use the old race that, like Chris said, had fell out. The new one would not fit. It would go down about 1/8 of an inch and just stop. And I was borderline beating it in, but you don't want to tear this stuff up. So I went ahead, popped it out, took the old race. It fit in there snug. It's actually a really good surface on there. I greased up and packed the new bearing, put it in there. It moves good. We put the seal in. Put the old, or actually the new race on the outer part of the car, fit great. So I lodged that in there good. So we're ready to put it on the spindle on that side. So we'll take you to that in a second. hopefully it all goes up good. Like I said, this thing probably, and it gave us a little bit of trouble, I knew it, because it just seems like it's had a rough life. But eventually we'll go to disc brakes on this car, and all this will leave anyways. So yeah, we'll get it on next.
And now, a classic Indiana car commercial.
Stewart's Gilman Discount Oldsmobiles having an unauthorized factory sale on all of our new Oldsmobiles in stock. With our low prices, the factory will not authorize this sale. For example, own a new Delta 88 for only $11,888. Or take your pick, Cutlass Supreme Coupe or Cutlass Sierra for as low as $10,388. Drive this sporty Calais home for only $89.88. With these low prices plus GMAC low-rate financing, Stewart's Gilman will make it easy for you to own.
Stewart's Gilman Discount Oldsmobile, you're gonna love it.
Alright, so we're situated here to get this back on. And make sure that this is clean. There's some of the old grease on it. There's nothing wrong with that as long as there's no grit or dirt. There's no grit or dirt in it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is fit it on. We know the other side fit. We'll just slip it on there real nice. Of course it fights me. That's nice. Shoot. Tight. That's so weird.
What's going on? What's it doing?
Well, this spindle is just like that spindle. Both these bearings are the same, but this one's tight going on.
Huh. That's not good.
Just play. There you go. Okay, so I went ahead and put this bearing on, the hub, so to speak. Had a little trouble getting it on with the new bearing, roller bearing here. This is the old one. It would go on with about 1.5 inches to spare and just stop. So you know that's not right. It needs to glide on there, almost like a hydraulic fit to it, just a thunk. Well, it wasn't doing that. So we took it off, cleaned this surface right here in the middle where it kind of tapers to a larger size, and we took some 400 grit sandpaper, like emery cloth, and went over it like that all around it, different angles. Had to do 2 rounds of that, and then the old bearing fit on really nice. It just kind of fit on there. So that told us that the new one was ready. So get our grease in there. It just kind of clips on like that. Okay, and now we got the small one. I'm packing that in. And like I said earlier, this one I figured some trouble. It seems like it's had a rough life, and I think it'll get the job done for now, for some light driving around town. But we really probably need to either replace that one or at some point just upgrade the disc brakes. We'll just see where the intention of the car takes us. So we'll take the small one here. Fits in there, and this moves really smooth. That's good. And you see there's a stud missing. That's no big deal at this point. I think it was kind of reamed out. Another issue for that hub. But you can still slip one in from the back side here and draw it through and make it work for the wheel if you really, really need it. But we'll try to worry about that when it comes to it.
There shouldn't be a stud missing.
Yeah, it probably fell out of there. Alright, so we found his wheel stud here. It's a little loose in there because something walled it out, but I kind of jammed the shoulder of the hub a little bit, and it's kind of sticking in there. It should be enough to hold it when we get a wheel on there. Again, not ideal, but kind of what you got to work with at the moment. So we got the hardware cleaned up here. Cleaned all that stuff off. So there's your washer with the nut on it. I know it's hard to see, sorry about that. And then the nut. Hold the hub up there tight. But you don't want to make the nut tight. You just want to get it where it starts to apply pressure. You don't want too much, you don't want too little. You want it to be nice and solid as it's turning. he's straightening out the dust cap. It was caved in, and that'll cause it to rub against the spindle. You don't want that, so you flatten it out to get the clearance on it. So this doesn't move in or out the hub, and it moves freely. But what I'll do is take our wrench and just put enough on it. So we hold the hub or the drum, whichever the case is, and I just tighten it where I can still really move that freely. About like that. Take our cap with the little fingers in it, so it'll help block it on there. Turn it till you find an opening, which is right there. And then our cotter pin. Slip it through. Needle nose. And one side one way or the other, however you like to do it. You do both of them one way, or one way, the other, and you know, that kind of stuff. So that is now on there. He's going to get the dust cap ready, pop it on.
So good.
Yep. See, this one was caved in really bad, probably about 1/4 inch. He put it on the vise straight down, used a large extension to flare it in and just kind of hit it from the top. Got a little bit of a dome going on it, so that's good. Down like that. Oh, they're pretty good now. Okay, so we're going to put the drum on, and then the wheels next. Jack it up on this side, pull the stand out, and we should be on all 4 tires for the first time, pretty much since you got it in here. Should be able to take the stand out. That's out the first time in a while. Probably a good bet to say that these will need adjusted. Now this is kind of loose. I'm going to have to adjust the lip on it to make it fit a little more snug, otherwise that'll fall off. He's going to have hubcaps on here, which is actually pretty good for one of these, because if it comes off, it'll either the cap will stop or it'll bounce around there and you know to address it. But I'll leave it there for now, and we'll just try to put a little kink in that lip so that it'll be in there a little bit tighter. So down here, I know you can't see it from the camera, but this is the stud that was a little loose. You know, we're kind of like flying the seat of our pants through all this stuff, but that one, I did manage to get enough grab on that knurled finish there and pull it through with a magnet. It slipped back on that. I pull it through, kind of stick it, and I took the lug nut and started it on there. So we'll see how it, and it's doing pretty good. I can actually put some force on it here. And I don't think it's spinning it. No, it's actually holding it. It's actually tightening that nut down. So I'll get the rest of these down on here. And since most of these studs were put in, they weren't seated all the way, which is okay. This will help seat them. And as long as they're all the same size, as long as they look even coming out, by the time you get it all down, you should be in a good spot. And there we have it. So I'm going to take this off, put a little kink in this lip so that it kind of sticks in there a little better. Alright, so we did a little bit here and there, mainly on these front hubs on this 66 Dart, and getting a lot closer to getting Chris back on the road. Much like me, he bought a vehicle that, you know, you can't just drive it immediately, you got to work on it. But when you do get it going, it's like a major accomplishment. So really what this thing needs next, there's some fuel line that needed completed back by the tank, so we're going to do that next time. We're going to trace where there's some leaks going on in the transmission. It's very leaky, so it's probably just a lot of the seals like we replaced on the van a while back need addressed. And he's going to get some vacuum tees and plug up this carburetor. If some of you remember, it's got like a 78 engine combination in it, so it's got all this emissions crap on it, hoses and nipples for hoses, and they all need to be plugged and proper ones used and so forth. So he'll get that plugged up, and then we're gonna basically get gas in it and start it up. Hopefully it does run, just it's been a while, and then we're gonna see where we're at. We're gonna try to tune it up, and once we can get it where it's running good, we're going to take it out here and see how these brakes are working, because I think this side might stick a little bit. It's just, there's a lot going on there that's kind of suspect, so we just want to iron that out. And anything you want to add to that?
No, just thanks for coming all the way up here and helping me.
No problem.
Getting those front hubs taken care of.
Yeah, he's not familiar. Like a lot of you all, there's a lot of parts of a car you haven't been involved in. I've not really been in very many 66 darts, so there's some things that are a little different, but the premise is the same. The bearings go on a certain way. Usually the bigger one goes in the back, and then the smaller ones go out towards the outboard side of the car. So that's just stuff we had to, kind of figure out and make sure it goes on, because he could have put it on, but he wasn't sure. So it's always good to ask questions. Don't ever feel like, less of a person. That's good. Ask questions. Make sure you get it done right. And although we have some issues, or we had some issues, we just kind of worked through them. And you can too. Anybody can do this stuff. Just apply yourself. And yeah, so glad to come up. Last time it was super hot. This time it's super cold. So we're hitting all the weather here. So until next time, MoFo Driver, make sure you check him out. We're going to have a link in the description below. Check him out. It's a nice, fun, simple channel. I like to show you the progress on this car. A lot of little detail stuff. So check it out. And thanks for coming to the Hoosier Garage. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff. So get out of here.